ಎಂತ ನಿನ್ನೆ ಏವಾರಿಂತುನು ಶಬರಿ ಭಾಗ್ಯಮೆಂತ ನಿನ್ನೆ ಏವಾರಿಂತುನು ಶಬರಿ ಭಾಗ್ಯಮೆಂತ ನಿನ್ನೆ ಏವಾರಿಂತುನು ಶಬರಿ ಭಾಗ್ಯಮೆಂತ ನಿನ್ನೆ ಏವಾರಿಂತುನು ಶಬರಿ ಭಾಗ್ಯ ಎಂತ ನಿನ್ನೆ ಏವಾರಿಂತುನು ಶಬರಿ ಭಾಗ್ಯ ದಾಂತುಲ ವರಕಾಂತಲು ಜಗಮಂತ ನಿಂಡಿ ಯೋಡಕ ದಾಂತುಲ ವರಕಾಂತಲು ಜಗಮಂತ ನಿಂಡಿ ಯೋಡಕ ದಾಂತುಲ ವರಕಾಂತಲು ಜಗಮಂತ ನಿಂಡಿ ಎಂತ ನೀನೇ ಏವಾರಿಂತುನು ಶಬರಿ ಭಾಗ್ಯ కనులగర సేవించి కనులగర సేవించి కనులార సేవించి కనులార సేవించి కమ్మని బలమొలనొసగి కనులార సేవించి కమ్మని ఫలమొలనొసగే తనువు పుళకరించి పాదయుగములకు మ్రోకే తనువు పుళకరించి పాదయుగములకు మ్రోకే ఇనకులపతి సముఖం పునరావృతిరహితగు ఇనకులపతి సముఖం పునరావృతిరహిత పదమును పొందిన త్యాగరాజ పదమును పొందిన త్యాగరాజ నూతూరాలి పుణ్యం పున పదమును పొందిన త్యాగరాజ నూతూరాలి పుణ్యం పున ఎంత నినే వారింతును శబరి భాగ్యమెంత నిన్నే ఏవారింతును శబరి భాగ్య
ఓం నమః పరమర్షిభ్యో నమః పరమర్షిభ్యః హరి ఓం అంతరాయతిమిరూపశాంతయే శాంతపావనమచింత్య వైభవం తన్నరం వపుషి కుంజరం ముఖే మన్మహే కిమపుకుందిరం మహః గురుర్బ్రహ్మ గురుర్విష్ణు గురుర్దేవో మహేశ్వరః గురుః సాక్షాత్ పరం బ్రహ్మ తస్మై శ్రీ గురవే నమః ఈశ్వరో గురురాత్మేతి మూర్తిభేద విభాగినే వ్యోమవద్వ్యాప్తదేహాయ దక్షిణామూర్తయే నమః యస్యాంతన్నాదిమధ్యం నహి కరచరణం నామగోత్రం న సూత్రం नो जातिर्नैव वर्णा न भवति पुरुषो नानपुंसं न च स्त्रीः नाकारं नो विकारं न हि जनिमरणं नास्ति पुण्यं न पापम् तत्त्वं नो तत्त्वमेकं सहजसमरसं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् योऽन्तः प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसुप्तां सञ्जीवयत्यखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्ना अन्यांश्च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम् भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वाम् अनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीं नमोऽस्तु ते व्यास विशालबुद्धे फुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयप्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय स्तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम् योऽन्तः प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसुप्तां सञ्जीवयत्यखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्ना अन्यांश्च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम् आत्मानमात्मना ज्ञात्वा न किञ्चिदपि धारय त्वमेवासि परं तत्त्वं तूष्णीम् आस्वचिदात्मनि knowing the self by the self. Do not hold anything in the mind. Akinchidapi hridi dharaya. Tvamevasi param tattvam. You are the supreme truth. Tushnim asvachidatmani. Keep quiet. Abide still in the pure awareness, in the real self. न किंचित् धारणां चित्ते साधनां वा विभावय न त्वं देहो परात्मासि तूष्णीम् आस्वचिदात्मनि. Do not hold anything in the mind, any kind of mood, thought, emotion or anything. Sadhanam va vibhavaya. Do not imagine any kind of sadhana, something to be done. Natvam deho. You are not the body. Paratmasi. You are the supreme self, Paramatma. Tushnim asvachidatmani. Keep quiet. Be still in your real self, which is of the nature of pure awareness. Sattachidrupamevasi natvam vyaktim vibhavaya dehendriyadihinastvam tushnim asvachidatmani. You are of the nature of existence, awareness, that is your real form. Do not imagine yourself as an individual. You are devoid of the body or senses. Be quiet. Be still. Abide in yourself. Deham chittam indriyani marichi toya vanmrisham etair vihinastvam bodhaham Tushnim asvachidatmani. The body, the mind, the senses are all unreal, mere appearances like the water in a mirage. You are devoid of these appearances. You are pure awareness. Be still. Keep quiet, abide in the self. न कर्ता विद्यते बोधे कारणं वा पृथग्विधं न चेष्टा विविधा तत्र तूष्णीम् आस्व चिदात्मनि. In your real nature, in pure awareness, there is no doer, no mind, no senses of various forms, no amount of movement. Keep quiet, be still, abide in your real self. अहंकारादिहीनः त्वं निजबोधोऽसि चिन्मयः न कदाचिन्निशां पश्य तूष्णीम् आस्व चिदात्मनि. So we have already seen 54 verses. 64, 54 verses. So when the mind attains dispassion, becomes quiet, abides still in the self, then you attain yogam. Yogam avapsyasi. This is what Bhagavan said in the 53rd verse. And the mind, intellect tossed about by conflict of opinions, has become poised and firmly fixed in equilibrium. Then you have attained yoga. You attain yoga. This is the verse that we saw. And then Arjuna asked, what is the nature of a person of steady wisdom? One who has attained changeless self-experience. Sthita prajnasya ka bhasha. His samadhi is stable, changeless. Certain commentators, they make it two difference. One is samadhistha, and the other is sthitadhihi. That is, samadhistha means there is no outer activity. The mind is completely merged in the self. It is nirvikalpa samadhi. No activity happens there. Neither mental activity nor physical activity. Such a sage simply remains in quietude, withdrawn from the world. That is samadhistha. And sthitadhihi means one who has come out of that state, but his intellect is firmly convinced, aware of the self. At the same time, he is able to act in the world. The body is active, even the mind is active, his senses are active, but he never forgets his real nature. Such a person is sthitadhi. It's a beautiful verse which says, Punkanu punkha vishaye kshana tatparopi. A Jivan Mukta, one who is established in that Sahaja Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Sahaja means natural state. You never forget. It is Bodha Janya Smriti, Nirvikalpa Bodha. One is Nirvikalpa Samadhi and the other is Nirvikalpa Bodha. Nirvikalpa Samadhi is the mind is merged. And Nirvikalpa Bodha is he has become aware of his real nature. And now he can never lose it, whether in waking state, in dream state or in deep sleep state, whether he is active. You can take Krishna. Even while fighting, he never forgets. Shankaracharya moved about the length and breadth of India teaching, but never for a moment he slipped from that state. So even Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi was doing everything, cooking, walking, meeting people, everything was happening, but always he was aware of his real nature. Never was there a slip. So that kind of state is called Sthitadhi. So in that state, he speaks, he moves about, he sits, he is so natural. That is why they call Sahaja Samadhi. He is so natural. And in real Vedanta Shastra, sometimes or often, there are two kind of jnanis. One group, they learn the Shastra, do manana of it, nididhyasana, nirvikalpa samadhi, sometimes remain in that state for many days or months or years. They might come out or not, they will prefer to stay without any activity. Such people have manda prarabdha, not much prarabdha to do, very mild prarabdha. So they do not interfere with the world, they do not teach. You have to go and see them, worship them, that's all. They are also Parameshwara Swarupa, Brahmavid Brahmaiva. And who knows Brahman, he is Brahman. So such sages are there. The other group, they might not even sit in Samadhi for 1 hour. It is quite possible. They just meet a great sage, listen from him the Mahavakya. Even many great sages, they belong to that kind of category. They just listen and recognize and become that and no more slip from that state. There is a book dealing with Abhinava Vidyatirtha Swami, Sringeri Shankaracharya, his yoga practice, spiritual experience, etc. Very beautiful book. Enlightenment, Yoga, Enlightenment, and Perfection. So that is the book, which deals with so many of his spiritual practices, yoga practices, nirvikalpa samadhi, etc. etc. His guru, Chandrasekhara Bharati Swami, was a very well-known Jivan Mukta. About Chandrasekhara Bharati Swami, Abhinava Vidyatirtha Swami says, in one place he remarks, I have never seen my master sitting with closed eyes. Sitting with closed eyes and meditating, I have never seen him. So that is not necessary because he was a pure out and out Vedanti. Not a yoga practice person, not a person who dealt with mind. Directly he heard the truth, understood it, abided in it. He never bothered about anything else. Like Bhagavan Ramana also. Formerly Bhagavan used to sit with closed eyes, but never in Ramanashram nobody has seen him sitting with closed eyes. So for a Sahaja Sthiti, for a person who have attained that state, there is no question of closing the eyes, opening the eyes, no difference. The self shines forth without any veil, without any avarana. They are called niravarana drishti. It is like you do cataract operation and everything is clearly see. You are able to see. Like that, the cataract is this ajnana. That is gone. And always you are the self. So sthitadhi. So he leads whatever may be his prarabdha. According to that prarabdha, he lives in the world. So, one Shastrajna, he said, to whom will you do namaskara? Will you do namaskara to Jnani or Vedanta Shastra? You know what that Shastrajna said? Prarabdhaya namaskurmaha. We do namaskara to prarabdha. Because if they have heavy prarabdha, he is available to all. Very little prarabdha, he goes to some cave, sits unknown to anybody, just disappears from the world. We are not able to enjoy the presence of a jnani, a jivan mukta. We are not able to serve him, listen to him. So prarabdhaya namaskurmaha. The more prarabdha, the more he suffers like us. At the same time, you are able to see such a person. That is what Patanjali in Yoga Sutra says. Klesha karma vipagashayaihi aparamrishtaha purusha visheshaha ishvara. It's a Yoga Sutra. Very, very, very profound. If you go and see the Vyakhana, it will be different. I am telling it from my own state. Who is Ishvara? Patanjali says, Klesha karma vipakashayaihi aparamashtaha purusha. He is a special purusha, special person. He is also a person, but he is a special person. If you have fallen in drainage, he will also be available in drainage. If you have fallen in a rushing river, you see him in the river. And he shows you how to come out of it, walk out of it. He is also in the prarabdha karma in samsara, klesha karma is there behind, around him. So much troubling prarabdha action results are there. But he is not touched, untouched. You are also suffering. He is also amidst of the same suffering. Then only you believe. Otherwise, he is a sannyasi, he is gone out, he is not attached to anything. No problem. But with all the problems, you see him untouched, unperturbed. Such a Purusha Vishesha is Ishvara, he says. Because Ishvara doesn't mean Shiva, Vishnu or anything. It means he has that governing power, that disciplining power, Isha Jnana. That Jnana is that Ishitva there. That Jnana is there, and you see Ishvara manifested in that form for your help. That is what is meant. Because the entire universe is only like a mirror. What is within you is reflected outside. So you see, how will I come out? Somebody appears there. And he shows how to swim. So that is the state of a sthitadhihi, one whose intellect which has absorbed the Atma Jnana, self-knowledge, and has become steady, established, which abides in one's real nature. So that is Sthita Prajna. And what makes a Sthita Prajna stable? If you light a lamp, the lamp is stable. Nivata Deepa. It is called Nivata Deepa. Buddha also uses the same example. A flickerless flame, unflickering flame in a windless place. No wind, the flame is not shaking, it is just straight, very steady, like that. The Jivan Mukta's self-experience, Atmanubhuti, is unshakable, not oscillating, not fickle. So, what are the wind? What is the wind here? It is desires. To do something, to attain something, achieve something, become something, experience something. All these urges, drives, these all puts, they are like clouds which cover the self-experience. Manogatan, they all come in the mind. Sarvan manogatan prajahati, prakarshena jahati. He gives up, parityajati. That is actually sannyasa. When I say sannyasa, what should be given up? Outside things easily you can give. But inner things, the desires are given up. The mind is given up. One who has given up the mind, he is Amani Bhava. He is the supreme Mukta Purusha. In Bhagavata there is a beautiful story. One Brahmana, of course, all those whom you call as Brahmana are not a Brahmana. All sannyasis are not sannyasis. Like that, this person was very rich. See, this story is narrated by Krishna to Uddhava. And this story happened in Ujjain, where Krishna had his academics. So as we narrate, he is also narrating to Uddhava. Very rich Brahmana, but very miserly, very stingy. He didn't do any charity. He never gave anything to anyone, not even to his family people. Many children, but they all go out with very dirty clothes, father not caring, wife also no ornaments, no food, because he is so miserly, so much money, but never, he was so attached to his wealth. It's a very beautiful story. I am only narrating one portion of it. And naturally, there is a law. It's a law. You cannot keep wealth like that. The water should be always flowing. Like that, if you want to hold wealth, it has its own way of going. So some portion was taken away by the king, like tax, or what they call as raid. King took some portion was stolen, and his own family people found, if we leave it like this, we will not get anything. So they took the rest of the money and drove him out. Naturally, he had so much devotion to money, wealth. He worshipped wealth for so many years, and wealth left him. And he became a virakta, dispassionate. And he narrates, he lists about 15 doshas, flaws, problems that will come to a person who is attached to wealth. That you have to see in Bhagavatam, Ekadasha Skandha. So he became so virakta, dispassionate, no food, where to go, just as a beggar he started walking. And he was contemplating, so much I was attached to money left me. This is the problem with the whole world. Whatever thing you get attached, when it goes away, severe pain comes. When it is with you, you have arrogance, you lose sense control, other people are jealous of you, so many problems, so many things he contemplates, becomes tremendously dispassionate towards the worldly life. See, that is the greatest anugraha. No? So, we should be aware. We say Bhagavan should give his grace, but if Bhagavan gives you his grace, it will be unbearable. Very few people can endure his grace, because grace means, in Bhagavata, Bhagavan tells Uddhava, I like you very much. You are dear to me more than Mahalakshmi, because you are a devotee. So I will give you the greatest blessing. What is the greatest blessing? He says sannyasa. Give up everything and go. Renounce everything and go. That is not for all. Tvam tu sarvam parityajya sneham svajana bandhushu mayyaveshya manas samyak samadrik vicharasvakam. So that is the upadesha. So that is not for all. And Bhagavan says, when I like somebody, I slowly make him reach that state. Slowly reaching that state is called Shastra. Shastra is low potency medicine. You listen, you contemplate, slowly you become mature. It will not be painful. Grace means, just snatch it from you. It will be very painful. So don't invite grace. Grace is already there with you as teaching, as satsanga, as shastra. You have to take slowly, learn, practice it and attain. It will be a slow, beautiful journey. So this person of course got powerful invasion of grace. So he became a beggar. Everything was lost. He just walked. And in a forest somewhere he met some great sages, listened to the teaching. He was very ripe because he was extremely devoted. He was a great upasaka. You know what upasana means? Upasana means you collect your mind, completely concentrate in one place, and if that thing is taken away from you, you break down. That is the power of upasana. So his upasana was with wealth. We take upasana for Krishna, Rama, Shiva. We are not at all attached, bothered. So our upasana is powerless. But he was deeply attached there. When it was taken away, he broke down. So he became tremendously dispassionate. In that state, he met some great sages and heard the truth. And you know what happened? He gave up one more thing. Now everything left him. Money left him. Family left him. Respect left him. Now he renounced one more thing, that is his mind. He renounced the mind, Amani Bhava. Gave up the mind and just wandered about, not bothered whether somebody is praising him, somebody is insulting him, somebody is respecting him, somebody is throwing stone at him. Just as a Dandi sannyasi, he dared to come to the same village where he was a very rich person and was begging in every house. He was a very rich landlord there. In the same village he came and stood as a beggar. Very few people can do such thing. This called Bhagiratha, who brought Ganga. He did tremendous tapas. And one form of tapas is he begged in his own kingdom. The place, the Ikshvaku Vamsha, where Dasharatha, everybody is going to rule. In that Rajya, Ayodhya, he begged in his own minister's house, in his own treasurer's house, everywhere he begged. What will be that state? But Dasharatha, he was respected, but this Brahmana was not respected. So when he went to beg, first 2-3 people gave him bhiksha. Later on they said, this is that food. Now this is a new deception. He has lost all his money. So see, soon he will construct an ashrama and ask for donation. Now he has found this new method to make money. So nobody gave him food. He didn't care for it. Somewhere he got some bhiksha, took that bhiksha to a river and washed it with the water and was about to eat. He kept the food there and was taking bath. Some miscreants, they came and threw dirt in the bhiksha patra. In fact, they urinated in that patra, in that vessel. He didn't react, kept quiet. Then they snatched the danda from him. Then also he kept quiet. Then they said, this, at least in that Mauna, they should understand he is a great sage. They said, he is Maunena sadhayati artham. By keeping quiet, he is trying to gain. There also they were not convinced. They threw dirt in his head. So much trouble was showered on him, but he did not react. He kept quiet. No reaction from his side. Seeing this, some great people asked him, what happened? Why are you suffering like this? Why these people are giving you trouble? Then that Mahatma said, nobody can give me trouble. I had relatives in my life, family, children, so many servants. I was not happy then. Now these people are throwing stones at me, taking away, breaking my danda. I am not unhappy. Nayam janome sukha dukkha hetuhu. These people around, they are neither cause for my happiness nor cause for my misery. Then what is the cause for your misery? Na devata, no devata. No? Sometimes you go to some Jyotishi, they will say, it is because your family deity is unhappy. So much trouble, because if you go to Kerala, the Jyotishi, first thing he will tell you, you have to find your family deity. It will be somewhere in Tiruvannamalai, Tanjavur, somewhere. I am born in Palakkad, and our village, only recently I found most of us have migrated from Tiruvannamalai to our village. We are mostly Tiruvannamalai people. So from Tiruvannamalai we have migrated to Palakkad. Some group is from Tanjavur, some from Tiruvannamalai. Some from Tirunelveli, in Trivandrum side, they are all from Tirunelveli. So there you have to search for, perhaps fortunately I have found my Ishta Devata here. You have to search in some village and find where the Devata is. And whether the Devata is pleased or not. How to find? So, na Devata, he says no Devata is unhappy. Nayam janome, no people around is cause for my trouble. No gods are cause for my trouble. Na Atma, neither myself, because it is ever blissful. Happiness is its real nature. When the self alone exists in the deep sleep, no unhappiness. Then is it planets? That is another chakram. When you go to Jolsya, he will say it is Saturn, Shani. Somebody went to see about how many years? Shani? About 19 years, this problem will be there. Nothing can be done. After that you will get used to it. This is Graha dosha. And this Mahatma says, no planets. If planets are cause, what can I do? If Devata is the cause, how to find out? If other people are the cause for my trouble, how can I change them? My own body I am not able to change. My own situation around I cannot change. Then how to change other people? It is not possible. Karma, that is one of the most reasonable answer that can be given. Why are you suffering? Because it is the result of your karma. Then what to do? Then also you cannot, the answer is very plausible, but what to do? Okay, it is my karma, then how can I change it? You cannot change, you have to suffer. Then Kala, see, this is Corona time, no? After that it will be all right. Everybody says, 6 months? They are asking me, how can I answer? I am also like you, all of you. Nobody is able to answer. Even doctors are not able to answer. Kala. If you depend on Kala, what to do? Graha, Karma, Kala. These are not the cause. And you know what that Brahmana says. Manaha param karanamamananti. This mind is the only cause. It says this is sukha, this is dukkha. This is good, this is bad, this is right, this is wrong, so many concepts. Once you give up the mind You have given up everything. That is the problem. It comes with us wherever we go. Not only this life, next life also it is there. You can give up this body, but not the mind. If you believe in the body, you will die. If you believe in the mind, you will go to next birth. Whether in heaven or hell, everywhere you are carrying this luggage. This Sukshma Sharira, Linga Sharira. So how to give up the mind? Giving up the mind is only one way, that to know that nothing exists other than the self. The mind is like a mirage. It's like water seen in a mirage. When that Tattva Jnana happens, what is given up is the mind. And one who gives up the mind, he is free of all the trouble. And what we call a Sthita Prajna, a Jivan Mukta, is the person who has given up the mind. If you give up the mind, wherever your prarabdha is, you can stay there. Janaka stayed as king. Ruling a kingdom was not a trouble for him because he has given up the mind. But see, a person who has not given up the mind, has taken outer sannyasa, goes to Himalayas, will be full of trouble. We have seen many people living in Himalayas caves, not at all happy. Outwardly no samsara. Akhandananda Swami narrates a beautiful anecdote. One great sannyasi, whom he considered as his gurus, about his story is narrating. I don't remember the name. That Mahatma has learned all the Shastras, taken to sannyasa and did lot of Vedanta Vichara, Manana, Nididhyasana. And then also he was feeling unhappy, not able to give up the bondage, to become free, liberated. That feeling was not coming. So he was about to jump into Ganga and give up his body, commit suicide. And when he was about to do it, a very radiant old lady, she came, a granny came there, and she asked him, Maharaj, what are you going to do? He said, Mataji, you look like a very learned, saintly woman. I can tell you, this is my state. I have renounced everything, studied all the Shastras, did so much manana. Still, that bandha is not gone. That avarana bhanga has not happened. So there is no use of living like this. I feel this is suffering, misery. So I am going to give up my body. Then that old lady said, Maharaj ji, आपका कोई परिवार है? Is there any family for you? No. So many years, no family, nothing. You have some wealth with you? Money? No, I don't have. Do you have any ashram? No. Then what is bondage? What is bothering you? That Maharaj, that Swamiji said, I don't know. You and we will have an agreement. We will have an agreement that you will show me your samsara, your bondage, and I will reveal to you its absolute absence in your real self. Absolute absence is a Shastra, scriptural term. It says Atyanta Bhava. Atyanta Bhava means it was neither there in the past, nor in the present, nor will be in the future. That is Atyanta Bhava. So that Amma says, I will reveal to you the Atyanta Bhava of samsara in you. You just contemplate and find out where is samsara. Show me your samsara. And I will show you that the samsara does not exist in your real self. Saying this, laughing, that old lady went away. This Mahatma sat on that sand of Ganga, immersed in deep contemplation. Nididhyasana attained. Means crossed the border of mind. That is what Bhagavan's Who Am I is. Ramana Maharshi is giving that Who Am I teaching means we have so much belief in our mind. This inwardly there is a self-image moving, either visible in the surface or invisible, vague in the unconscious. It makes so many movements and says, I have attained, I achieved, I will become this, I will become that, I love, I hate, I see this, I see that. In unconscious form, so many ramifications it has. You catch hold of it and seek that I. What is its real nature? What is this I made of? You just focus on that I. Then you see that like water disappearing in mirage. Like that this I disappears and there is only that existence, one's own I amness, one's own pure awareness, mere amness. The I disappears. And in that, there was no I in the past, no I in the present, no I in the future. Every day in deep sleep, Atma, the inner being, is revealing I am I-less. I am ego-less. There is no individual sense in me. Every day, everyone is having that experience. Shastra or Guru is only giving the teaching. He is only making you aware. Every day you take a dip into that real being, where you experience the absence of the world, absence of the body, absence of the individual sense. Again everything comes, but it was not there. So if it was not there for a few moments, it tells you it is not there even while it appears. This recognition happens in a second, like a lightning. It passes through the intellect. Tadillata samaruchi, like a lightning, no? Like that, if you recognize it, then sthitadhihi, the intellect is not a no more, it is an ordinary intellect. Vaisharadidhihi, that intellect is called the infinite intellect. That intellect itself is a vibhuti. That buddhi is a vibhuti. And that is Divine Mother. The buddhi of a jnani is Sharada. She is Sharada Parameshwari. If you go to Sringeri, you have Divine Mother Sharada there. Who is that Sharada? She is made of Jnana Swarupini. Actually, that Sharada is nothing but Shankaracharya's intellect. Shankaracharya has idolized this intellect there as Sharada Parameshwari. Because a Jnani's intellect, Jnani's buddhi, is made of Atma Jnana. Somebody asked Swami Ramdas, do you dream? Swami Ramdas said, yes, why not? Ramdas also dreams. What are your dreams made of? His dreams are made of Ram. Dream is also Rama. Mind is also Rama. Because the entire, if you take a cloth, the cloth is made of threads, cotton. And cotton is the self, the Atman. And you know that the entire universe is like a cloth and the wool is the self. With that, everything is made of. Once you know this, that oneness, the knowledge of oneness, Eka Chintanat Nashameti. In Upadesha Saram, Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi says, with some technique, with some method, you quieten the mind again jumps out and starts wandering. Jala Pakshivat. That is the example. You put a bird inside a cage, you open the cage, it flies away. Like that, the mind, if with some method, you catch hold of it. Leave that method, it goes away. Whatever method you employ, to the extent you put effort, the mind also obeys. When you leave, it goes away. But Ekachintanat nashameti. Once you know this one truth, non-dual truth, that there is no thing called mind. Just you know that. Apart from the self, there is no mind. Apart from the intellect, there is no mind. Nothing special to do. No japa, no dhyana, nothing. This knowledge, and you keep quiet. You become still. Janaka says in Ashtavakra Samhita, Ayameva hite bandha. Somebody is asking, why I am bound? I am meditating, why I am bound? You are meditating, that is why you are bound. See, this is the highest teaching. And he says, Ayameva hite bandha, yat samadhi manutishthasi. You are practicing samadhi. You are samadhi. You are the self. The moment you hold to it, you catch hold of that state, you are established there. So that is the highest teaching. Such a person who is aflame with such experience is Sthitadhihi. So he has given up the mind. Yesterday we told he has given up desires, asha, kama. Now it is the mind. Mind is made of desires, and the jnani has given up the mind itself. By the knowledge of the self, he has renounced the mind. And he lives whatever prarabdha offers. Prarabdhaya samarpitam swavapuhu ityesha manisha mama. Shankaracharya says he offers his body to prarabdha. Tulasidas says in one place, somewhere in his Ramacharita Manas, Prarabdha Purva Racha, Piche Racha Sarir. Prarabdha was made first, then only the body was made. Why should I care? Somebody is there to look after it. Vivek Chudamani also, a verse is there. Prarabdham pushyati vapuriti nishchitya nishala. Dhairyamalamya yatnena swadhyasa apanayam kuru. Very beautiful verse which says swadhyasa apanayam kuru. Adhyasa means superimposition. The body, mind, ego is superimposed in the real self. Constant denial. I have no body, I have no mind, I have no intellect, I have no I. The ego is not there. I am the self. Nitya Shuddha. Buddha Mukta Swarupoham Asmi. This constantly meditate. Then how will I live? You should not care for that. Prarabdham pushyati vapuhu. If you have that much dhairya, be firm that prarabdha will take care. Prarabdha will look after the body. Prarabdha will run the show. This is not for samsaris. This is for sannyasi, no? If a samsari says prarabdha will look after, prarabdha has its own way of looking after, that might not be endurable for you. But for a sannyasi, that dhairya is necessary. That much bravery, that much courage is necessary, not bothered. If food comes, I will eat, otherwise I will not eat. That kind of renunciation, vairagya is prarabdha. First we should have that vairagya in our house. If food is there, okay. If food is not there, okay. Whatever is given, okay. If not given, okay. That much vairagya first we should have wherever we are living. Even that much is not there, no. So prarabdham pushyati. Every moment is taken care by prarabdha. A force, some force is, if we name it prarabdha, some force is taking care of us. Ishvara, you can say it is Ishvara. With that, the jnani is living in the world. And jnani's life also has to undergo pleasure and pain. Whatever has to happen in life will happen. As Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi said, everything is preordained. If you know this, you will not fret about your life. You will not think about others' life also. But although we know this, we forget it. This knowledge is actually to keep the mind quiet. Bhagavan says, whatever is destined to happen will happen. Whatever you may do to stop it. If something is not destined to happen, however you may try, it will not happen. So the best course is to keep quiet. This is Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi's one of the powerful teachings other than who am I. This is for the worldly life. Worldly life. So one day, one of his devotees, Devaraja Mudaliyar, he dropped his kerchief and asked Bhagavan, is this also preordained? Bhagavan said, yes. Because your will, your desire to do this is also ordained. You can call it preordained or done by ordainer. Some higher force is doing this. You are only an instrument in its hand. If you know this, you will not think. You will not think this, that, I, you, he, this, all this chaos will come to a stop. Is vikalpa, ni, nan, ara, puli, nidam kalimayamai nindidum nilai arul arunachal. In Aksharamana Malai, Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi says, the nilai, that state where you are in bliss, in delight, is kalimayamai nindidum nilai. Nidam, always, means sthita prajna. Nidam, always, arapuli. Ninanara puli. Puli means merging, embracing the self. The mind hugs the self, becomes one with the self, and there is neither I nor you. Here Bhagavan says neither you nor I, because the you also calls forth the I. You can see this in the world. When you are alone, no I is needed. But somebody says, who are you? You don't know me. Then the I comes. Vyavahara, interaction with the world, you asks for the I. When you go to an airport, identity card, Aadhaar card, without that you cannot go even to ashrams nowadays. Even to God you cannot go without them. You have to define yourself, affirm yourself, assert yourself. I am this, I am that. So to do Vyavahara, this is needed. That is opposed to realization actually. So wherever you are asked for assertion, wherever you have to say I, stamp, personality, do not go there. Do not involve yourself there. Then sannyasa will happen. Then naturally you have to renounce, because nowhere you can go. You just, I don't want to go anywhere. You will not get seat even in a bus. Everywhere you will be driven out. But you will be hugged, embraced by the inner being. Nidam kalimayamai nindidum nilai. So once you know that inner joy, that infinitude within, and the outer life is taken care by a higher force, by an inscrutable force. We can call it Maya, we can call it Ishvara, we can call it Prarabdha Karma, something unknown. Actually, nobody can define or know about world or worldly life or next moment. Unknown, it is unknown, uncertain. Life is uncertain. For everyone, life is uncertain. Nishvase nahi vishvasa. And the breath goes out, nobody knows whether it will come back. We don't know why it comes back. Who asks it, invites it to come back. Somehow, some strange law, so busy is this Vayu Bhagavan, he goes inside and comes out, inside, comes out. Like when a temple is open, so many devotees go inside, worship and come out. Like that, as long as that Ishvara is there, this wind it goes inside, worships and comes out. Goes inside as oxygen, worships and comes out as carbon dioxide, as devotee. And goes to plants everywhere. This happens like that, no? But suddenly one day, lockdown. The greatest pranayama expert cannot make it breathe. So many days he was doing, nothing happens. With cycle pump, then also you get this, they can keep it in a ventilator. They ask, yesterday itself dead. We were keeping so that today is good day. When can we remove it? That is the question that they are asking, no? Ventilator. But he is not alive. Nothing can happen inside. So this is the life. Unknown. Nobody can know. Nobody knows. It is mere assumption that somebody knows about our life. Even the Jolsya, astrologer, he says, this is like this. He doesn't know his own life. We are not making fun, because that is not possible. That's Nadi Jolsya, it's a magic. If you go there, your name, your father's name, your grandfather's name, everything will be written, and whatever happened in your life, sometimes they will say very correctly, but future will not work. Very rarely future will work, because that is your destiny to know that. If it is your destiny to know that, you will know the future for the time being. It's all dream stuff. The entire waking state and dream state, they are not different. It's all made of the same stuff. Nothing but Swapana only. Upanishad says there are only two states. One is self, the other is dream. The deep sleep state is self. Waking and dream are same only. No difference at all. There is only two states, not three states. Vedaranyaka Upanishad, somewhere it is said, this world and the other world, two worlds. The world of Atman is deep sleep, where there is only self, Brahman. And the dream state and waking state, they are not different, they are same. From waking state you say it is dream. Suppose this is a dream, who knows? I am giving a lecture about a dream, and I am telling dream and waking are same. All same, no difference. We say this is a body, there is a brain. Everything is mere dream stuff. No brain, no senses, no mind, no body. All a mysterious force is projecting. Somebody asked Bhagavan, is it not the intellect from within which is thinking? He asked Ramana Maharshi. You know what Bhagavan said? Suppose you are in a dream. You are seeing a snake in a rope. And you are thinking whether it is a snake or a rope. You bring in light and see it is a rope. Now, the question is it the intellect of the sleeper, the dreamer, or the person inside the dream? Is then the talks. It is the intellect of the person who is appearing in the dream. His intellect is thinking. What is his intellect made of? It is made of the same imagination that his body is made of. ഒരു പക്കം ഭഗവാനോட intellect പറഞ്ഞു. The powerful intelligence, perfect intelligence, which tells you that there Bhagavan remarks, who has seen all these pranas, this intellect, these senses, these are all mere imagination, Bhagavan says. If you think they are senses, senses are there. If you think they are mind, mind is there. If you think prana, prana is there. But it is all nothing but ekameva advitiyam nehananasti kinchana. One consciousness alone exists, nothing else, nobody else, no one else. It is the body, it is the mind, it is the senses, it is the individual sense, it is the world. Like gold, with gold you are making so many ornaments, one consciousness takes various forms. appears as life, appears as pleasure, appears as pain, appears as experience, life. All the Tripudi happens. Actually, it is all one. This is the ultimate teaching. Bhagavata also. The seed of Bhagavata is this teaching. Bhagavan is giving this teaching to Brahma where he says, know that I alone exist, you do not exist. Now do creation. With this knowledge do creation. Ahameva asam. Before you came, I alone existed. After your deluge, I alone will exist. Even now, you do not exist, I alone exist. In all the three times, once you see, this is simple truth. If you want realization, self-realization, this is the direct method. Take this teaching from today onwards, take this teaching, do no more sadhana, do not make any striving. If you have that much courage, just convince that God alone exists. No more striving, no more effort. Whatever comes, it is God. The mind is God, body is God, ego is God, world is God. Whoever you meet, he is God. The person who sees is God. Events are God, persons are God. Pain is God, pleasure is God, terrible disease is God. Yoga Vasishta says, Adhivyadhi is seen as Atma by the Jnani. Terrible disease is God, tremendous suffering is God, immense pleasure is God, pain is God, sleep is God, avidya is God, vidya is Brahman. Is it possible? If possible, very simple. No Shastra, Shastras are also Atman, nothing exists. That is so simple. If you can take this Ekatva Nishaya, that is what Bhagavan says, Eka Chintana, Nashameti. The moment you are convinced of that Ekatva, all the duality ceases, plurality ceases. Na Shastram, na Shasta, na Shishyo, na Shiksha, na Chatvam, na Chaham, na Chayam Prapancha. Swarupa Avabodha, Vikalpa Asahishtu. Tadego Vashishta Shiva Kevala. If you have that kind of conviction, if you do not have that conviction, you have to move till that conviction dawns. That is it. If when somebody is so fortunate, they will have conviction like this. And then we say because of Purva Punya. Like Himalayas, they have done Punya. So it took, that is one way of explanation. Otherwise, why he only got, I didn't get. There is a story, I don't know whether it is this way it will happen. We have to. Ananda, Buddha's disciple, attended. He was constantly with Buddha. Buddha never left him. That was his boon given to him. So he asked Buddha, you should not leave me, I will be always with you. Like that he was serving Buddha all his life. And one day, in his last days of Buddha, Buddha was sitting under a banyan tree and giving his usual teaching, regular teaching. And many people used to come, listen and go. Generally the teaching will be truthful, do not hurt anybody, all those things. And very few, they will listen to the highest teaching of Nirvana, etc. One day, one young bhikshu came. He came and Buddha did not speak. He also did not ask any question. Sat there, kept some flowers at Buddha's feet and just sat there quietly. Buddha took one flower, kept it in his hand, did not speak anything. After a few minutes, just did like this. The flower just like a rocket, it went and fell on his body. Suddenly he got affected, sat still, and his face became radiant. He attained some deep experience, woke up, and did not ask a single question, just went away. And Buddha told Ananda that he has attained. Whatever he came to attain, he has attained. They have many terms. It's not purely Vedantic. Harihat or something. Then Ananda felt very bad. So many years I am serving, I am with you, and I did not get it. Then Buddha said, Atmadipo bhava. Be a light unto yourself. You thought I can give you, I cannot give you. He was mature enough, ripe enough to receive it. And the story goes, Buddha narrated many lives of that person. That is one way of explaining, so that Ananda will be happy. He has taken ticket from hundreds of lives. So now he was just waiting for the last touch, that's all. Like that, some mature seekers get realization from one word. They are convinced of oneness. All duality ceases, plurality ceases. Division goes away, vikalpa goes away. Then their whole life will flow like rivers. Some event will come and merge in his heart. His heart is like the ocean. Next verse is Dukkha and Sukha. These two streams will be constantly flowing in life. Udvega means getting affected. Dukkeshu anudvignamanaha. Sukheshu vigataspruhaha. Vita raga bhaya krodha. Stitadhi muniruchyate. The Muni, Stitadhi, one who is in Mauna. Mauna means one who has inwardly found the truth. Not perturbed by adversity. Does not crave for happiness. Who is free from fondness, fear and anger. Is the Muni of constant self-experience. Dukkeshu anudvignamanaha. Dukkha means adversity, suffering, grief. It will happen. Anudvignamanaha means unshaken. Udvega means some dukkha happens, suffering happens, we are affected. Naturally we are affected. Anudvignamanaha, one whose jnana is not affected. Sukheshu, some sukha, some pleasurable thing happens in life. Vigata spruha, he is not attached. Vita raga bhaya krodha. Raga means attachment, bhaya means fear, and krodha means anger. These three have left him. Stitadhi munir uchyate. He is a muni. This verse we will see tomorrow. Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva.